The question of the day, ladies and gentlemen, should you overfund a life insurance policy? Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gents. It's JDew and
Jonah.
We are the Banking Bros here at the Cash Compound, and on our podcast, what we do is explore the topics surrounding creating more and more cash flow in your life. And we're going to break down some terms, really. We're going to explain some things through terms so you can understand a little bit of the jargon around what people are saying, people like us on the internet out there, so you can get yourself cracking that code and having more and more growing cash flow for you in your life.
So one of the things that has been a recent, it's got to be in the last 5 years, right, is this idea that you can get everything that you need for your financial lifestyle off of the internet. It's got to be the last 5 or 10.
Well, the information age.
People are just going to the internet
social
to get
media.
everything that they need, especially when it comes to their finances. So the problem, though, is if you don't correctly define terms, or if you're not following people or listening to people or watching people that are giving you specifics and explaining those specifics and telling you why this is happening, then you can be easily persuaded or tricked into some things thinking, oh, this is right. I've seen it 3 times. I heard that word a bunch. This is right. And it's not correct for your situation, or because of the way you understood it, or because of the way it was explained. So one of the things that we like to do is get on the air waves like today and explain what's going on, to use some of the common phrases and words that we've gotten off of the internet or that we've heard as well, and kind of walk through them. I think a couple episodes ago we did a factor cap episode, right? And we literally pulled up all of the Instagram, TikTok, Twitter posts we could find.
Well, not all of them, because
we
could do that episode every week.
Yeah, but we pulled up a bunch of them that we could find, and we just went through them and just said, well, let's deep dive. Here's what they just said. Is that factor cap? Is it true? Is it not? Are they making stuff up? And what actually happened with a lot of those posts is that it was only half information. It was based on what they know and what we said, here's what they think they mean, but this is not everything.
And also on that, what we have to do is you've got to give yourself, ladies and gentlemen, the opportunity to win by understanding that what you hear and see is not a test until you understand the full context of what you're going to. You see how I like to bring that what you see is not a test. I'm rapping to you, like how I tried to work that in for a second. You didn't even get it.
No, Sugar Hill Gang.
Okay, so
I get it now.
The point is, you're not going to get everything you want off the internet for your financial life in 1 minute sound bites. So that is exactly why around here at the Cash Compound in our office, us banking bros, as well as the rest of our team, will walk you through free consultations one-on-one so you make sure you understand.
That's right.
Now, I deal with a lot of those incoming calls. Jonah has a tendency to help people once they've begun the system that we talk about. But on the front end, me and the team, we get a lot of folks who've listened to us on this podcast, on our YouTube, TikTok, Instagrams, and they need those questions answered. So please call us. We don't want to confuse you or fool you.
So before we jump into the episode, though, let's actually give a shout out to somebody who's recently followed us on the airwaves, because that's the type of person we're looking for, who's got these questions, right, that needs answers. So today's shout out is going to a YouTube subscriber, and his name is Eldridge Pemberton. He's a recent subscriber.
Love it.
And so we want to give a shout out to him. Hey, Eldridge, if you're watching this episode, I know you recently subscribed, right? So normally you're going to watch like the first 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 after you subscribe, right?
Hopefully.
Eldridge, if you're watching this one, leave us a comment, man. Thank you for following us or subscribing to us. We want to hear your questions specifically around this topic today, which our topic is overfunded whole life insurance.
Now, before we get into that, though, now that you've brought it up and repeated it, I still have to comment on what you're wearing.
Oh, okay.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is late November. We are a week after the big Thanksgiving holiday.
That's right.
Holiday day. And both of us actually, because I'm wearing it again, we happened to record our last ep when the U.S. soccer team was playing. The men's national team is playing in Qatar right now, and we have to get this episode done and in the can so we can go watch the game.
That's right. I'm doing a lot of excited, laughing and clapping and having a good old time, because I want America to win.
I believe that we will win.
A lot.
So Okay, so we're recording this right before we actually play Iran. You all know about what's going on if you've been watching. Group stage, game 3. We need this win today. There's a lot of it. If we win, we're good, right?
We'll make it through.
If we win, we're in. Beat Iran, and we're in.
Move on. Something. I don't know. It didn't rhyme. Let's get into it.
In and we're win. Win and we're in. So that's all we got to worry about. So we got to win. Okay, so overfunding policies. First off, let's go back to these definitions. Now, historically, overfunding life insurance, I would say prior to the idea of, prior to the IRS getting a hold of things in the early 80s, overfunding would have been a negative term.
Yep.
Yeah. Overfunding would have been a negative term. So you've probably heard out there, those of you who like to look at our stuff, read our stuff, listen to us, and other people's, probably hear the word overfunded from other people a lot. We don't say it a lot.
Yep.
But it's a totally legit and good idea if it's done in a certain way. So our question for you is, what is it? And why was it probably a negative term?
Yeah, well, it became
historically.
So right now, today, if you hear this word on the internet, on the socials, it's not a negative. It's not a negative. They're talking about what we're talking about. They're just using a different term.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, prior to that, it was negative, and really it's because overfunding would cause tax implications. That's really what it is. So the cool thing about that is by saying a sentence, overfunding a policy will cause tax implications. Used to, right? What we're actually implying with that is, well, if you don't overfund, then you don't have tax implications, which I think goes a long way with people even now that ask those questions about the infinite banking concept, overfunded whole life, and they want to ask about those tax questions, right? Even from way back, there's no tax implications if you do it the way you're supposed to do it. What that means is your dollars will grow income tax free. The death benefit is paid out income tax. Like, there's so many cool things going on.
Right.
But there is some ways you can mess it up.
Yes.
And don't do those.
So let's go back to those. Ladies and gentlemen, overfunded, what it means is there is a requirement in premium, the numbers and dollars that you put in to buy yourself what is purchased by insurance. Now, what you're buying is death benefit. You're buying a policy and it has death benefit. We give our dollars to an insurance company, and that's any type of insurance, actually, right? Life insurance or car insurance, phone insurance, jewelry insurance, property insurance. We give them money, and then they have a bunch of their money on standby for us.
Is it?
Right, when there's a loss. But it's only if there's a loss with many other types of insurance, because we actually hope we don't lose our dog and lose our car and lose our leg or
pet insurance. I don't have that. I do have a dog. I don't have pet insurance. It's probably coming. It's a lot of insurances.
There's a lot of insurances out there. So overfunding means actually giving the insurance company more than required to get your benefit.
Yeah, so let's stop there for a second. I said this on the last couple podcast episodes, and I'll ask you the question. I don't think I've asked it to you yet.
Okay.
And I'm asking the users and the listeners here at home. Have you ever heard of a life insurance policy where the death benefit was $100? If you pass, your family will get $100. The death benefit is $100. You ever heard of a life insurance policy where the death benefit is that low?
Now, for those history buffs out there, I'm going to be complicated for him, because I would say yes, but that policy is probably 130 years old. Okay. So back in the day, see, I read a little history out there.
You know what I'm asking. Today,
of course not. Of course not.
No. So the reason I bring that up is because death benefit comes, there's requirements for how much you have to have in order to have a life insurance policy. Like, insurance companies will not offer you a life insurance policy where your death benefit is $100. They won't do it. So what that means is whatever death benefit meets the requirement for the company, there's cost associated with it.
You got to buy it.
You have to buy it.
Right.
It's not free.
No big deal.
Right?
Okay.
So the cool part about what we're talking about is overfunding is the positive connotation that it means today is even though the cost for this insurance is X, you are deciding to put more money into that policy than X cost. That's it. That's what overfunding boils down
100%.
to. That's it.
Now, here's the next question. Why would we be doing this?
Right. Why would you,
why would you pay more than is required for an item? I wouldn't do that at the grocery store.
See, so I love to phrase the questions like this. I do this for a lot of people when I'm talking to them on the phone, because I agree with you. I would phrase the question just like that. Would you ever run into Best Buy? The TV costs $300, but you just, you know what? I'm going to give them $500. I'm going to overpay for this TV. This is nice. It's only 300, but I'm going to pay 500. Would you do it? Everyone who's listening to us right now would say,
No, of course not.
No. Who in the world does that, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going to overpay for something, it must be there's some sort of benefit coming back to me. That's why I do it, right? I mean, who else? Think about it. Would you overpay for the TV just to overpay? No.
Of course not.
But if you overpaid for the TV and then they threw in this and this and that and this, and you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, now I might.
Right.
Let me see what those other things
got
are.
one of them TVs with no commercials on it.
Yeah.
I'll
Let me
overpay
see
for
some
that
of those other things you're throwing in, right? And if that's the case, then okay, maybe I will overpay for the TV. It depends on what the benefits are. It's the same thing that happens in overfunded whole life. Why do you think there's hundreds and thousands of people that are just willingly overpaying?
Well, I think a lot of people do think that. They think they're just dumb.
No.
Well, they do because they actually get on the TikToks. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm always on TikToks on 2 channels over there at the Banking Bros. Hit us up over there, and people think that all the time. So it brings us to the benefit. Let's talk about a definition. Our word of the week right now, ladies and gentlemen, is paid up additions. Okay, paid up additions, Jonah, is the answer. Let's rephrase the question. Let's re-ask the question. Okay. Why? What was it?
My question was, if you're overpaying, well, it's kind of a statement. I'll try to put it in a question form. If you're overpaying for something, it must be because there's some benefits coming back to you. That's why you'd overpay. And who's going to overpay without any sort of benefit, right?
All right, we got a question out of it. That last line right there. So here it is. Paid up additions are an optional feature available on some types of whole life policies. PUAs, paid up additions, got it? Refer to small increases in the death benefit and cash value of a life insurance policy, which no ongoing premium is due. Okay, now we're going to break that down for you, ladies and gentlemen, and why that is a part of what we've been talking about and been preaching and teaching for the last 5 years here on our channel.
So just to recap, 2 things happen with the overpayment. Mm-hmm. All overpayments going to go into something called paid up additions.
Yep.
2 things happen when you buy paid up additions. Death benefit increases, cash value increases. That's what the definition off the internets just said, right?
Yes.
It also said that only some insurance companies offer this. That's important. That's important.
Some whole life policies, right? You can't get whole life
Facebook groups. Yeah. And people, at least once, twice, 3 times a week are asking about, hey, I got State Farm. It's not working.
Right. Big deal. So, ladies and gentlemen, paid up additions. I love this term because in insurance, insurance is mid. Insurance is basic. The words mean something. Okay? So that's why we're calling out the words. Overfunding. So we already know what that means. Now, paid up additions. Paid up additions. Remember that last part. No more premium is required to reach a new death benefit and to get more cash value.
So to help you guys understand paid up, sometimes I say paid for.
Paid for. About that. Equity. Cash value.
Right? Think about it. Let's go back to Best Buy on our TV. If you bought the TV and it's paid for, do you owe Best Buy more money?
Right. It's like a gift card. Well, I already got a gift card worth a certain amount.
Right.
So it's paid up.
Yeah.
It's paid up to my credit, my store. Let's do store credit.
There it is.
I got store credit up to X number amount. Okay, so we're getting off topic a little bit, but we're trying to break this down for you in a way that you can understand. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about in overfunding is we're paying over what's required to have that death benefit. It actually reaches new death benefit heights, but gives you cash value. Cash value is why we're here.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're cracking the code to cash flow. And if you've seen our videos, when we have the 3 cups on the table, death benefit, cup 3 blue cup, is getting bigger. Therefore, we have more cash value. Equity, paid for amounts of money that they owe us. The insurance company owes us that money.
There it is.
Cup 3 and cup 2.
And again, there's more benefits that we could dive into, but for me, that's the most basic form and understanding of why we're doing what we're doing, right? Back to my question, who's overpaying for something that's not coming with benefits, right? And so the answer is those are the benefits. That's why I'm overfunding. That's why I'm overpaying for the insurance. If I just wanted insurance, and that was my only goal, I wouldn't overpay for it.
Correct.
Right?
Right. A death benefit or some sort of benefit. If I just needed that, Why would I pay extra?
There it is.
So the reason we're putting dollars in, ladies and gentlemen, is because it gives us a benefit, and the benefit is that cash value. Reminder, cash value is the pool of dollars that are paid up in your insurance policy that you can use, you can utilize, and that pool is separate from your premium. And because it's separate, you're using it without stunting or stifling the growth, as I always say.
That's it.
Of what your money's doing for you inside this contract. So, ladies and gentlemen, a reminder that if you go to a historic standpoint in view of overfunding policy, or you hear it in a negative connotation, you're going to be hearing things about the 7 pay test.
Yep.
So there is only a certain amount. All this means, we don't have to get into too deep, actually. All it means is there is a certain amount of extra overfunding you can do before the IRS says, you're avoiding too much tax implication on this particular contract.
Yep. And if you break that, they'll send you a bill. You'll get a little penalty, and you'll owe taxes. But most companies that we work with especially will let you go back. Because, again, all it is you sent them too much money, you're over the limit. So a smart company will go, well, we'll just send this money back to you.
And they'll let us know. They'll notify us.
Yeah.
We've checked all the boxes for you at the beginning, and they understand and realize that unless you did it on purpose more than once or you're trying hard, they know you don't want to overpay and have tax implications on your growth.
So it's happened a few times
with
with people that we've worked with, and every single time the insurance company sent the money back with a nice letter that says, hey, you accidentally overpaid. We assumed you didn't.
We assumed it was
that.
accident. Yeah.
And here's the sign right here in the bottom.
Yes.
We'll send it back, man.
So if you overfund too far and you get past that 7 pay test. Now, just this morning, I had a call from a guy in New York. I will protect the wealthy and not mention his name. But the 7 pay test, the 7 is actually 7 years. It's a rolling 7-year idea that says you can put money into your policy, but as long as you don't go too far within any rolling 7-year period, you're okay. You're underneath that limit. And this man could not figure out what rolling 7 years meant, and I could not figure out how to explain it. I'm just saying.
For all those who are listening who don't know, that means it's always a fresh 7 years from wherever you are right now.
Today, 7 years from today.
Tomorrow, 7 years
Tomorrow,
from
7 years from that day.
So
it
what's
just keeps
not
going.
included in tomorrow, 7 years from that day is yesterday.
Correct.
Because it's fresh.
I was struggling. Trying
it's
to,
tough. If you don't know what rolling, it's tough.
Or the way we came about it, he just, wasn't picking up what I was dropping. Okay, so here's another message that I got from someone who's already within our community, utilizing whole life policies as a banking system, as their own privatized bank. Just last week, Jonah, you know this person, but they said, hey, I'm trying to get as much money in. My new annual premium renewal date is due. I'm ready to put it in. This person had $4,000 in base premium, $6,000 in this overfunding part, the PUA, for a total of 10. They said, hey, I'm in my 6th year of this policy.
That's a good policy.
That's a great policy.
Yep.
I want to make sure I can get all this money in here.
Yep.
And I don't just have to put the base, the required part. I want to get as much as I can. But I don't want this to turn into a MRF or whatever that was.
Okay. The tax stuff. Yep. I don't want to have to pay the taxes.
All right. What did they mean? What was it? That MRF is not a term we're going to define here. That's a CrossFit move, right? Yeah. CrossFit WOD.
What he meant was MEC. It's an acronym, MEC. It stands for Modified Endowment Contract, and that's what your policy turns into if you put in too much money and now it's taxable. They call it a MEC. You now have a contract that is modified. I don't know how to explain it. Modified endowment. Now you got to.
So remember, the endowment means it's going to pay out a big amount of money at some point. It matures at a certain point, and it's going to pay out stuff that has grown for you, and there's going to be tax implications on it. Yeah, because that's what's happening in.
So realistically, he called and he said, "Hey, I've been putting in $10,000 for a while, and before I pay again this year, I just want to make sure this is not going to cause the tax status." And the answer to that is, cool. We'll reach out to the insurance company real quick and we'll ask them.
Yeah, all good.
As long as they come back and say, nope, you're
not MRF,
and
but
you're ready to go.
Okay.
That's it.
So here's the next thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Avoid. A lot of people on the internet get this information and they don't realize how easy it is to avoid this. It is something that you need to be aware of. It's so easy to avoid. So ask your company.
And also, this is all we do in our niche office. Most of you are going to realize that when you're listening to us, however you're finding us. But my favorite is when folks ask us, hey, we got to make sure that all the stuff that you were saying is true. Well, they don't say that. They just said, hey, how do I know? And how do I know it's going to be designed right and all that? Well, who's the one who told you it needed to be designed right? It was us.
Right.
Well, you think I'm going to design it wrong?
Right.
Anyway, we're going to let you ask, though, because we're glad you're perceptive. Just yesterday, I reviewed someone else's paperwork from some other agent that they had purchased, that they got, and it was not the style of contract that was going to allow them to have cash value.
Nope.
Okay, so we love to review what you have out there if necessary. So here's the next question that I have for folks, because everyone out there who's done some homework now, we just went through the beginning stages. Let's get to the intermediate stuff. The intermediate stuff is, hey, well, we realized the way you said things, JDew, 40% was that base number. You just gave us a number on that particular policy, that person's custom design. 60% was overfunded. PUA. But I've heard about other different scenarios. What about 50-50? What about 70-30? What about 90-10?
Yeah, don't do them. That's my simple answer for you. For all those who are listening on the watching on YouTube, I'll explain. I'll get into detail.
But let me ask you a question.
Now, don't do them.
Okay. Yeah, we have an opinion and a strong one about that. But let me ask you a question, Jonah. I asked it to my guy this morning on the phone. I said, my friend, if you had a tin can in the backyard and every dollar you put inside that tin can, Jonah, compounding grew and money grew on trees in the front yard because you buried money in the backyard. Now, let's talk about this front yard. Money's growing on trees, my man.
Yeah, you need the opposite, though. You need the can in the front and the trees in the back so you can fence it in or something.
Oh, okay.
If the tree's in the front,
okay,
you'll have, all of a sudden, it's like Christmas lights.
Okay.
All the cars lined up.
Got you.
Know what I mean?
Okay, we've got a tin can in the front. We got your Folgers in your cup in the front yard. You're dropping in your Folgers, your dollars. Now, dollars make sense, but they start making more than just cents in the backyard. Okay. You've got trees with money growing on them. And where you plant is the front yard in this can. It just keeps getting better and better. It's turning into a whole forest in the back because it is a seed and the harvest. Yep. Seed, front yard, harvest in the backyard. Yep. You can take that money and do whatever you want. Yep. You can spend it on anything. How about investments?
Yep.
How about paying off debt?
Yep.
How about taking the kids to Disney?
Yep.
Whatever you want to do, Christmas is coming.
Yep.
Right? You can do whatever you want with that money. You can take it. And it keeps coming income tax free.
Yep.
My question, how much of your money would you bury in the can?
Every dollar I got, putting it in the can. I might take some out of the trees in the back and put it in the can in the front. You know what I mean?
We get questions about that all the time. So here's the question, Jonah. Now, how can we relate that to the splits? How can we relate that to the splits? You just told me you want to put as much money as you possibly can. For how long? I'll ask that too.
As long as I'm around and kicking.
Can you follow the math then where I'm going in my head on?
I'm trying my best.
How that, then what, the splits. We're talking about splits.
I'm with you.
Okay. So why, I bring that up when I'm about to explain to people that there's going to be a problem potentially if you overfund too high and far.
Oh, okay. I think I know where you're going.
There you go.
So really, I think where you're going is at some point in the lifetime of your policy contract, at some point, the insurance company will stop you from overfunding. They will stop you. And all you'll have left is the base portion of your policy, not the overfunded amount, just the base portion. And when that time comes, if all you've got is the base portion, and you've got these forests growing in the backyard, right, where the trees are just, cash is coming down. And then all of a sudden they
can't see the forest through the trees, or whatever they say.
All of a sudden they say, you can't overfund anymore. You can only do what's required. You can only pay as much as that death benefit requirement is, like we explained it earlier. Then you want that number to be kind of big. You don't want it to be super small because you overfunded so much.
So here's my question. Do you think you're going to make more money over the course of your lifetime or less?
I think I'm going to make more.
And is your policy, because of the compounding in that cup, compounding in premium, is it getting more efficient? Is it getting better? Is it working faster or opposite?
By definition of compounding, every day is better than yesterday.
So that helps us make sure that you understand that you're going to want to put as much money in over time as possible. Under normal circumstances, you don't want to be limited on what you can fund into that situation, your premium and your overfunding power, because you went too far in the split. Some of you, like I said, this is intermediate. Some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but we're going to make sure that you're going to be happy with the growth, compounding, and the effect long term.
That's right. And just in case you need more information, I actually recently did a podcast episode. It is posted on our channel here, The Cash Compound, with Hannah Kessler, one of our constituents, one of our folks associate help. I mean, Hannah's great. But anyway, if you haven't watched that episode, it's called 1090. We'll put a link up here, one of these places, and you can go watch that. And we talk about these other types of splits, and we both kind of agreed on, and we get into detail. Just in case that's you, go listen to the other episode, and you'll get more information.
We want you to make the best decision that you can for yourself in your situation. There's a lot of people out there who have a lot of good reasons to use dollars right out of the gate, and it is great that you have that. We want to make sure you're completely understanding and educated on how your policy is going to perform for you, because it is a lifetime contract that'll always get better. We want you to know what happens not just day one, but day 101 and day 1,001 and day 10,001, because you're going to be able to utilize the system for your whole life.
That's it.
Get it? So, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you being here for another great episode. We hope that was helpful for you. We've never actually utilized some of the words sometimes that other people use. An overfunded policy can be a great thing. We're going to automatically set up things that way so you have use of cash value because of paid up additions right out of the gate. If you'd like to chat with us about doing that for yourself and cracking the code to cash flow, we would love for you to get on our calendar. We'll call you. We've got a great full presentation for you, and we like to set things up for long-term success and always more and more to grow for you to cash flow. We'll see you next time.